Great, and time. Hi, my name is Ben, and I am super excited to be here to make you some coffee. Now, there are many different opinions and perspectives in coffee, but I think there's one thing that we can all agree about today. Coffee is complicated. From growing and processing, to roasting, to brewing, there are so many things to learn and understand. As humans, we are faced with difficult situations like this all the time. Our brains try to process this information by simplifying according to our previous experiences and knowledge. This makes it easier to move through life, but often we miss the nuance of our world, and it reduces things down to black and white thinking. This black and white thinking exists in coffee as well. Judges, today I want you to experience the full spectrum and flavor of coffee. So today, I'm going to serve you both a coffee and a brew method that breaks this black and white duality and instead sits on that spectrum. Because within that spectrum, we can find some truly delicious coffees. The coffee I'm serving today is a Gesha, grown in Boquete, Panama, at Alida Estate by the Lamastis family. This comes from the Torre part of the farm. Now, at 1,800 meters above sea level, Torre isn't the highest part of the farm, but its rich soil and unique microclimate means that it is consistently producing some of the very best coffees. So now you know the variety, you know the region. I bet your next question is it a washed or is it a natural? And the answer is yes. We often use terms like washed and natural to describe how we process coffee, and we associate certain flavors with it. But there's a wide spectrum in the way that we can both process coffee cherry and the flavors that come out of it. This Gesha was put in a tank for 5 days in whole cherry, giving it notes of cherry and strawberry. After that, it was taken out of the tank, pulped, and dried at very low temperatures. Now, judges, I personally believe that many of the flavors that we associate with natural coffees does not come from the process, but the way we treat the coffee afterwards, because it is exposed to a lot of heat and oxygen. If you think about it, heat, oxygen, and perfectly ripe coffee cherry is a great recipe to make those intense flavors that we often associate with naturals. By pulping the coffee when it came out of the tank and drying it at low temperatures, the Lamastis family was able to stop any additional fermentation or respiration. And by drying at those low temperatures, they're able to preserve the flavors that I associate with washed Geshas, specifically florality and black tea. I've marked on your menus today where I believe this processing method sits on the spectrum. There's also tasting notes there for you as well. Now, judges, I have 13.5 grams of coffee in here. I'm using this small dose because it allows me to grind fine to get a full extraction without choking the brew bed. I've already leveled my bends, and I'm about to use this tool. This is called the bullet. What it does, it puts a small indentation in the middle of the brew bed to give me even saturation on my blooms. You can see that it has markings on it to control the depth. I'm doing that first marking today. So I'm going to start pouring. I'm going to do two 35-gram pours of water at 94 degrees Celsius. This double bloom method is going to ensure that all the CO2 has left the coffee. So for subsequent pours, all of that coffee is not floating, but sitting at the bottom of the bed. This will ensure that I get a nice, even extraction. I'm using this fellow kettle for its slow flow rate, because what it's going to do is it's going to ensure that there's always a consistent amount of fresh hot water coming in, because as coffee comes out the bottom, there's hot water coming in the top. This makes this part of the brew percolation focused. The water I'm using today is Aqua Code at 60 ppm. Now, Aqua Code contains no buffer, and I've chosen it specifically for that reason. This Alida Gesha has a very unique tartaric acidity. According to pKa values of acid, one of the first acids to get buffered out is tartaric acid. So by having no buffer, I'm able to preserve that beautiful acidity that they developed on the farm. For my third pour, I'm going to switch to this barista kettle. It has a high flow rate, allowing me to add all the water very, very quickly. This makes this part of the brew full immersion focused. As I've experimented with my brew methods, I've discovered that I can change these V60s from their traditional percolation method closer to full immersion, which is what I'm doing today. I've also chosen the V60 because out of all the brewers I've tested, it has the best acidity and clarity of flavor. Now, that fine grind that I mentioned earlier is going to ensure that I get a full extraction, even though I'm just doing 3 pours. And as the water sits in there, in this full immersion focused part of the brew, it will become more saturated, slowing the extraction, preventing any bitterness. This hybrid brew method is going to give us the clarity of a percolation method, but with the balance and body of a full immersion style method. This combination of a hybrid geisha with a hybrid brew method gives us incredible qualities from both sides. And I've marked on your menus where I believe that this brewing method sits on that spectrum. So now, judges, in just a moment, I will give you the carafes to smell, and I'll give you some notes in the meantime. So when you get it, in the aroma, you will smell orange blossom, cherry, and strawberry. When it is hot, please use your cupping spoons. For all other sips, you can drink directly from the cup. When it is hot, you will taste orange, orange blossom, strawberry, and black tea. When it is warm, you will taste cherry, strawberry jam, and that florality will move to Earl Grey. And finally, when it is cool, you will taste Earl Grey, strawberry candy, and orange blossom. The body is juicy and medium, and it has a lovely texture. It just gets silkier and silkier as it cools. And that body, that silky body, comes from that full immersion focused part of the brew. The acidity is tartaric and citric. It reminds me of pineapple, a ripe pineapple. And that is going to come from that percolation part of the brew. And finally, in the finish, you will taste brown sugar and lovely florals. I'll give you the crafts to assess the aroma, and then I'll come back and serve you. There, be careful, it's hot. And all those notes are there for you as well. There you are. And there you are. Are you ready, judges? Wonderful. We have developed a great set of terms that make it easier for us to describe flavor and information to our customers and one another. But what's really exciting about coffee is that it's moving at a fast pace, and sometimes coffee outpaces our language. I hope, judges, today that you will keep an open mind, be willing to adapt to avoid this black and white thinking. And hopefully, this hybrid process geisha and hybrid brew method will transform your thinking, revealing a new spectrum. Just as it is changing these cups. It has been my absolute pleasure being here today and sharing this coffee. This is one of my favorite coffees ever, and I'm so happy that I get to share it with you. There you are. There you are. And there you are. Thank you, judges, and I'll call time.